Right, well, we were doing an Albrecht set and now we're doing this set because we haven't got a mic for the Albrecht and we haven't got any mic plugs to make up a mic for the Albrecht, so that'll happen in a few days when some plugs come. So we've got a Harvard 420M, also known as the H405, one of my favourite Cybernet sets. Oh, it comes with the destruction book. I don't know whether we've had the destruction book before. Oh, it doesn't tell you what 10100 is. One of our usual trade customers who has a personal collection, as well as being a trade customer. And I think we need to get our, I think these are the same colour as the hotels, and in which case we need to get our RAL colour chart out, as somebody's asked what the RAL colour number is for the hotels, and I did cover that a few months ago, but I couldn't remember what video or what it related to, or anything, as you'd expect. So hopefully we've got a stubby little, with a Harvard mic, hopefully we've got a stubby little power lead. There's usually one kicking around on here, but then just when you want it, of course there isn't. Might as well fill in the serial number while I've got the back facing me. No corrosion on this one. 1110 4812. Made in Japan. Right. Switch on. Switch the power supply on. Switch on. Okay, we're lit up. We're drawing 210 milliamps. It's got a bit of dirt on the channel selector. It just needs some use rather than anything else to bring that back to normal. See if our PA works. So I'll plug in that, plug in the mic, and then hopefully we can get that out of our hair. Testing 1 2, testing 1 2. Absolutely nothing. I plugged in the wrong socket, that's why. Testing 1 2, 1 2 1 2, dirty volume control. So meter lamp works, PA function works, right, CB, here we come. Right, picture on. And let's go over to the main meter. Hello, no transmit. Nope, no transmit. Either in high or low power. Nope. Does it receive? So we'll put 2779125 on the signal generator. And it doesn't receive either. Okay, well that's a good start, isn't it? Not. Has it been illegally modded and ruined? They tend to ruin better sets. I've won on eBay 2 Fidelity 1000s. One lights up and one doesn't. So you can see what's coming, can't you? Right, well I can't see anything which shouldn't be there. That capacitor needs changing. It's been so hot that its heat shrink cover has heat shrunk over. So it's probably been over volted at some time. But that's the only dodgy thing I can see immediately. Right, well, I've just made a little look behind the scenes on this, and actually the VCO is out of kilter, so we're going to go through the VCO setting. I've now got it receiving, so if I can find, it's a few weeks since we had a Cybernet, and I can never remember the setup procedure of anything. Oh well, I've just printed another copy off. So, it's, what do we set it on? Well, that's topsy-turvy. That's page 3. I want page 1. The printer's decided not to print double-sided. Periodically, I have to tell it it's a double-sided printer, even though you tick all the boxes and tell it to that it is a double-sided printer, but no, it decides it isn't a double-sided printer. I think Hewlett-Packard have done an update to its firmware to make it do that in the hope that you're going to buy a new one, which of course was bound to be inferior. Right, VCO channel 40, top of the shop, good buddy. So we've got that on the earth. See where we are. So that's no good to us. So we start with T1 for 4 volts. That'll do me. 4 volts. And then we need to go into transmit, and we also want 4 volts. And this is another annoying thing. The multimeter wants me to turn it off, and to stop it doing that, I've got to turn it off and turn it back on again. Everything is annoying. And if you ignore it going beep, bitty beep, it's not that you haven't used it, it's just a time thing. Then it just turns off anyway. I may end up having to change this, because what's happened is it's got wax in it. So I'm going to waggle it round and see whether we can set it now. So the last thing you want wax in. So 3.9 on transmit, 4.1 on receive, so that seems fair enough. So now we go to channel 1, and on receive we've got 2.26, which is fine. It should be between 1.9 and 2.5, and on transmit we've got 2.05. It should be between 1.8 and 2.5. So we have lock. I'm going to leave this on the bench overnight, and we'll see whether it's still the same in the morning, because I'm not going to be able to complete this today. Well over the time. I'm well into the evening, like 8 o'clock on a Sunday. I shouldn't be working doing this. Need to change that capacitor, as I mentioned. Let's see whether we can tune the setup. So going back to the clipboard, now we've got the VCO. So it was VCO is 4 volt plus 4 volts out of lock. Let's just look at frequency before we do anything else. So I'll just put the camera on the frequency counter. 27. Now I'm glad I did that, because usual trick, don't change it to channel 20. 27790199. That's fine. We'll just bring that up. 27790099. That should be fine. There we go, 79128. Leave it a little high, because they drop with age. Good. Let's see if there's any deviation. We'll see if the deviation meter is actually working on this test set today. Wow, it's hard to tell, so I can't say. We'll have to use a test set behind. So tune up the transmitter. We're going to do the transmit power, won't we? So what we got? We've got more than 3 watts. We've got 3.4 watts on channel 20. And what else have we got? .5 watts. And we've got Oh, 2.7. That's not set right, is it? It's supposed to be within 0.1. So on channel 20, we'll go into low power, see what it's doing, and the answer is 20 milliwatts, a bit too low. And the transmit current on normal power is 1.155. Right, let's go through the transmitter. And we'll put that on there. So I think it's had the phantom screwdriver in the VCO. So we need to temporarily max these to absolute peak. Need to be quick because the output transistors can't take this kind of power for long. So that's 4.4 watts, 4.4 watts, 4.4 watts. So basically, this and this were already maxed out, and it's like the power was being adjusted on there, which is not how it's done. So what we need to do is turn L4 clockwise to obtain 4.4. We're at 4.5, 4.4, so it's just there. And then we need to move this anti-clockwise. They say for 3.8 watts, but we'll do the legal limit of 4 watts. The manufacturer, bear in mind, has to be just under the legal limit, because if this was spot checked at the docks and a container with 10,000 sets in, and one was over power, then the whole box would be rejected. So they have to be extra careful. The dealer's supposed to go through it, but they never do because they're more bothered in box shifting. So there we are, we've got 4 watts spot on. Let's go to channel 40. We've got 3.95. Let's go to channel 1. We've got, well, 3.99 I could safely say. Oh, and the current consumption, we'll go back to channel 20. What I'd like is it to be drawing less current. It's now 1.147. It is. So we've gained another watt, and it's drawing less current. Now, that brings us to the low power. So I think we've got a situation where we've got a dirty low power preset. Seems to be a common thing on this chassis. So we'll put some service or switch cleaner on there, waggle that around a bit, you know what, it won't set. It's 100 milliwatts. Going to have to look into that. It could be the preset that's faulty, or it could be another component, but I can't let that go. But we're going to skip over it for now. We'll come back to deviation. All I'm going to do at this point is set that to centre, just see whether we've got it where we'd expect it to be. No, so we'll use, that's about where I'd expect it to be for 2.2 to 2.5 kilohertz. I'll check on the test set behind me. It'll be tomorrow. Get that capacitor changed, sort that out, but we'll do the receiver. And that's something else it wants doing, isn't it? Clean that. Oh, I know what we didn't do on transmit. We didn't do the RF meter. So it says 5, so we'll just pop that to 4. So it's only on into a dummy load that it's going to be reading true. So you know, if your aerial's not going to be, no aerial's going to be perfect. You know, sometimes you're going to key up on one installation. It might only go to 2. Doesn't mean you're giving 2 watts out, it's still giving 4 watts out. It might bang across, it doesn't mean it's doing more than 4 watts, it's still doing 4 watts, because that meter is relative to SWR, etc. So never panic about that. Modern sets, it's pre-programmed to read what they want it to read. In fact, we've even taken the output transistor out of some of these new sets, and it still says it's transmitting on the meter, so it just shows what BS that is. I've said many times before that a lot of them are glorified TX light. So we need to drastically improve this receiver. Oh no, we've not gone through it yet. I'm thinking of the set we did before, which I haven't. I did an Albricks, but I've come to a full stop and a comma on it because we haven't got a mic, and I haven't got any plugs to make up a mic. So we'll come back to that set. So I kind of started the video for that, and yeah. So we need to plug this into the test equipment speaker, just like that, and get a sine reading So we've not interfered with the receiver, so we'll be able to get a reading as to what it was. So apart from putting it on frequency, it's absolutely fantastic. It's 0.47. Check we're still on the correct frequency. Yep. 0.4. We can't do 20. Turn the volume up and see if we can. We can now. It's actually 1.2. So we'll set the detector. I'm going to have it at this higher volume than normal, I think, because that might be doable because of the dodgy volume control. With 100 microvolts S9 equivalent signal, let's do the detector. So we're looking for maximum recovered audio. Absolutely miles out. Yeah, I certainly had the screwdriver in this one, folks. Okay, that was garbled and quiet. So we'll just go through now with the Cybernet meter. So we've got about 4 or 5 dB. We want to swing it to the left is better signal, then I can drop the attenuator on the signal generator. So gain some there, turn the attenuator down. Gain a little bit there. That was spot on. And turn the signal up to do the IFs. That was spot on. That wasn't spot on, and the one hidden under the wiring hadn't been fiddled with because I hadn't noticed it. That now gives us a new reading. So let's see what we've got now, whether we fixed it worse. Making sure that the switch is in the wrong position. Right, we've now got 0. Wow, this is good. 0.24 microvolts. 0.22 microvolts. And 20 is 0.75. That's a really hot receive. Let's just do the squelch. So as it comes, let's turn the squelch to full on the radio. See when it comes in. Let's look at the attenuator. So I want it to come in at 100 microvolts. So we're at 30 at the moment, and it's come straight in at 100 microvolts. So that's exactly where we want it to be. So I don't think we'll be altering that as long as the next test works out. So we'll put the signal generator to standby, turn the squelch down on the radio, set threshold, turn the signal generator back on with it parked at 0.3 of a microvolt. It's about 1, isn't it? It's 1.1. So I'm not altering that. It would be the preset there if we needed to. So that's something we haven't had to adjust. Let's look at the S meter. So with S9 on the signal generator, we've got it showing S7. Let's put a bit more signal on until such we get S9. Well, we never get S9, so I've got I'll put 100 millivolts on. So it wants to be S9 for there. So we'll turn the signal down, yep. Turn it up, yeah. Excellent. So that's now 100 microvolts. Okay, so we'll come back to this tomorrow. Capacitor, make sure the VCO is still behaving itself, and why there's no, the low power's dramatically wrong. Right, the next day, we've got the service all out. Let's see if we can do that volume control. Let's turn the power off. I've changed the trimmer capacitor there. I'm just going to, I've done the deviation, that's plugged into the test set behind me. Switch that off. Now we need to, I've changed the preset for the low power, and I've changed the trimmer capacitor for the VCO transmit, because when I came to this the next day it wasn't transmitting. So the fact it was full of wax, I waggled it around, didn't I, yesterday. It locked okay, well it didn't lock overnight, so changed it, new one in. This will stay on the bench overnight and we'll make sure that it's in lock tomorrow. So I won't put the lid on, changed the capacitor there, which was this one. Let's just check whether that was still working. I think it's in the amplifier, to be honest. I don't need to bother looking it up to see where it is. It's either in the power supply or the amplifier. Spot on. But anyway, it's been hot, so we've changed it. Especially when they're less than 50 pence. Right. So we've got that back in low power. I've also applied switch cleaner to the best I can, trying to get it through the cracks of the channel select switch. See if we can set up low power. Put picture in picture on. I actually haven't got any of the other cameras on. Have now. Right, well, it's not transmitting. So we've got something else amiss. Helps if I'm not in AC, doesn't it? We've got millivolts. That's interesting, isn't it? So we've got neither transmit nor receive. And what I was doing was going to spray that volume control, but I've just totally forgotten. These can be swines to get to as well. take the front off, there's also there's a couple of open rivet holes. Let's see whether that. Right, back to the question. We'll check the meters actually working. It is, especially if you can see it on screen. There's the test point. Nothing happening. And what if we've got a dry joint? So something that's common that's affecting both transmit and receive could be the crystal, the synthesizer chip, the channel selector switch, just to Mr. Chippy. I'll be ready to scratch your corner this in a few minutes. I think we're going to have to look for dry joints underneath. So it's had the synthesizer chip changed at some point. So I'll just look more closely at the solder and pause the video. Okay, so I've just looked at it for dry joints, gone through what could potentially be. I think we've got it working. I'm not going to start fiddling with anything. Oh, we've got the negative off, that's why I'm not getting a reading now. So, yeah, that's back to normal. So hopefully we've hit on that. I've gone over it with isopropyl alcohol as well. Volume control's better but not perfect. So around the phase lock loop chip I've cleaned it up. One or two potential dry joints I've gone for, and the point is, well, it's working now. So I'm going to put the bottom, we're going to put all the lids on, just put one screw in each. I think this is a set with a lot of miles on the clock, you know. It may be in a box, because it's got a lot of miles on it. Now, final thing to check is this low power now working. So let's key it up. So it's doing 4 watts at the moment. Turn it to low power, turn the test set to 3 watt scale, and see whether we can bring up the low power. Yes, we can. So the preset was simply crack track, and that's now doing 400 milliwatts. So good, that was at least something that was straightforward. I ended up doing quite a few things there. So let's bring the clipboard back. Not perfect. Use will help. So we don't know. I think it was 1.5 kilohertz. It's now 2.2 to 2.5 kilohertz. Low power is now 400 milliwatts, and it's replace VCO 20 picofarad trimmer replace low power preset. We've put 200 ohms in, should be 100. Can't get those. Now for the moment of truth. Get the bigger speaker in these. Does it work? Let's see if we can pull a little bit more wire out of that. It's just that bit short. So we'll just put one screw in each side. So we'll do a final check tomorrow. So this will have been on the bench Sunday. It's Monday today. It's going to be on the bench overnight. So it's been on the bench clogging it up for 3 days. And that's what you end up doing if you've had anything that's intermittent. I don't think I changed that 20 picofarad trimmer in vain. I think the fact it was full of wax really wasn't helping. I think we've got a multiple snag there. The teeny weeny screw is missing out of the mic plug on this. I've run out of teeny weeny screws. Night sell them at Curtin and Lindsay. Right, so with the aerial on, let's see if there's any bad buddies out there. One and a Roger. Absolutely nothing. Perhaps Ofcom's been around and busted them all. Right, we're doing on the air test. Oh, we never did try the internal speaker. Yep, seems to be okay. We're doing on the air test. Nice radio. As long as we've got rid of those intermittents. Now what we're going to finish off with, I'm going to see if I can find the RAL colour chart. The answer is yes, I can find the RAL colour chart. I think these are about £15. It's not free at all. That's a metallic, this. That's too light. See, these don't. Most of these aren't metallic. $9007's a bit lighter. I mean, I'm colourblind, so it's no good me doing this job. They said I can't work, when I was at school, they said, you can't work in electronics because you're colourblind. I said, well, surely you'd use a test meter if you weren't sure of the colours. So I just was self-employed my entire life. Apart from doing my apprenticeship in church organ restoration, I did paid for all my own college courses. I just don't know what they want you to do. They love putting people off. RAL 9023 is a little... Oh, fluorescent, couldn't you? So 9023. It's a bit lighter, isn't it? And 9007. So we've got 9007 there, and 9023. I think we're going to have to say, make your own minds up. It's kind of metallic gunmetal grey. Not that we see guns in the UK unless you're a baddie. Oh, somebody's out there. We've heard it talk.
It's raining tomorrow, it's raining all day. Raining into the night.
I wouldn't take any notice of what the weather says. It can rain at the front side of my house and I can be sat in a deck chair and a pair of trunks at the back and it's a nice day. Right, no, I can't come to a conclusion other than what I just said. 9007 9023. Right, thanks for watching and we'll do an on the air test.